that was awesome. I really enjoyed
Thank
that.
you.
Huh. All right. I'm immediately cutting over to the post show.
Wait. Okay,
No,
so
for
someone
sure.
just clarify, does this mean we're cutting the recording?
Oh, good question. Leave all this in, whoever's editing this. Or don't. Up to you. That's a
This is
good
part of the
question.
post show?
This is either, I don't know, this might be somewhere, or no one will ever hear this. I don't know. That's not my job.
Yeah.
I am either speaking to the internet, or I'm not. Dana, Larica, that's your call.
Yes, dear listeners, my brain is very big.
Okay,
He is
now
Galaxy
now
Brain, and
have
we are
to
but
cut
smooth
all of
ones.
that. All of this gets cut so Derek doesn't look smart.
No!
It's
That was my
perfect.
most convincing dear listeners. Okay.
Also, should we rename the post shows DM Discuss? DMs Discuss.
Yes.
Sure.
All right, now it has to all go back in.
So that this moment is recorded?
No. I want whoever's editing this to edit all of that out and then edit it all back in.
What? What?
So while you're editing this, when we get to the point where I say cut it, and then when you get to the point where I say put it back in, put it back.
What?
All right. So post show.
Stress.
Yeah. So my notes for this session were a little unconventional.
Were they just a map of the Star Destroyer?
Pretty much, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I told Derek my plan, and I was just like, yeah, I found a map of a Star Destroyer online, let's do this.
Nice. Whew. Yeah, that was, there were times I did not think I was gonna make it out of there.
I was
Yeah.
thinking that when you took 8 out of your 11 HP in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah. But I managed to make it work.
True.
It was a very close call in the end, but yeah.
Yeah. I will say, like, the Star Wars system's all about, like, min-maxing in the moment. It's all about,
Yes.
like, how do I get my 14 blues on this check, Well, I distract him, I enact a cool plan, and have someone help me, And it's all about how
Yeah.
you, like... But I really like that. So it's like I was able to take that 8 damage, realize I was way out of my depth, and just, like, play it a little more cautious going forward.
Yeah, my original plan was to have, would have had far more clones per encounter, and then I looked at their stat block and went, okay, maybe I need to ramp that back a little.
Yeah. They are, in fact, genetically engineered super soldiers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I'll be honest, I kind of knew what to expect going in. Not like
I figured.
fully, but like I was able to piece together that 9 out of 10 chance Order 66 was playing into this somehow. I wasn't really sure what my like exact objective would be though. This was very cool though. I will say my character
you.
was very statted as a pilot, and so it was very. He was just like he was running around like ah. It was kind of like, actually, this is something. Hey, I'll probably announce this later in an official capacity. But once we get our Patreon set up, if we hit a heretofore undecided goal, Blake and I may release the like true pilot episode of 1 Hour One-Offs.
Oh, the Unhallowed Met Gauntlet Run.
Yeah, which was recorded. It sounds awful.
Yeah.
And I'm not.
Of course it would. I wasn't there yet.
And I'm not entirely sure I still have the file, but in that, I built a character in Unhallowed Met designed exclusively to use a crossbow, basically. and then was dumped in a maze with no gear. And really was out of my depth for a while there. But really enjoyed it, and I think this came down the same way.
And you did win both times.
I did win both times. Although, what was his name? Charlie Woods?
I think so.
Yeah, Charlie Woods came out a little worse for wear. Let's not spoil that, though.
Yeah.
On the off chance it ends up getting released. But that, yeah, I had a lot of fun.
I am glad. I wasn't entirely sure how it would go when I realized that my plan was just like, I know what's gonna happen and I have a map. Yeah, heavily inspired by the last couple episodes of Clone Wars.
Which were some awesome episodes, and
yeah,
it was cool seeing Fox. Quick little real canon tidbit for anybody listening that gets it.
I hadn't even intended for that. That was just like the first name that came to mind.
Oh, really? I just assumed
Yeah.
I was actually talking to Fox. Yeah.
I mean, technically, yeah, you were. I didn't even fully realize it at the moment.
That's fair. That's awesome. Because at the moment I was just like, sick.
Pranked.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up Bethesda and say it's not a glitch, it's a feature.
I'm trying to think, because I know... When... Is it possible that this was Fox? I think it is. I don't...
Oh, no, it's not, because Fox has to live until he gets killed by Vader.
Yeah.
And I don't think it ever came up in the episode, but this Star Destroyer was headed for a cis planet and would soon be obliterated. Right? At Blake.
Yeah, that was the reason you had an hour.
Heading towards a what planet?
It was one of the last Confederacy
cis.
planets.
Okay, yeah. I just didn't hear the Discord doing its thing.
For sure.
Well, no, that was totally Fox. Fox escaped that ship's destruction.
True, Fox was a bit of a badass. Language?
I said light the shit up out of him earlier, so at the very
Okay.
least,
I said shit show earlier.
yeah, at the very least, ass is fine.
Very well.
I think what we're gonna do is have like basically we're PG-13, and I'm very willing for us to be explicit. It's just any episodes that we are like overtly explicit on, I'll put a little content warning.
Makes sense.
Okay, that sounds good.
Like there was a content warning on A Poisoned Soul.
On what?
A Poisoned Soul, the last one we recorded. It hasn't gone
yeah.
up yet at the time of this recording, but like that one wasn't like a explicit content warning, but just like we got into some legitimately heavy emotional topics, and given that the one before that was about getting spices in time for dinner, I just wanted to make sure people weren't blindsided.
Yeah, for sure.
Of course.
As well as just like a little, this is a gritty setting and is meant to represent views that are meant to be disapproved of,
Gotcha.
But yeah, this one I like Star Wars action just always feels so cool, and this felt
For
very
sure.
like, dude, I loved lighting up the two riot guards. That was my favorite.
That was
part.
awesome.
I was like, I get to add 2 blue to any roll here, and boy oh boy is it gonna be this one.
Understandable.
Yeah, I didn't even realize the damage I had done when I was like, yeah, they're distracted, so they don't get their defense.
I'm really excited to write up the little blurb about that guy, because his whole thing is... So, some of you might already know this, because a paragraph that I haven't written yet will be written by then. But, Rando's whole thing is he's always wanting to be a Jedi. He's, like, obsessed with the Jedi and the Force and all of that, but he doesn't really know how the Force works. So he thinks that because he can't, like, levitate rocks in his hand or read people's minds, like, explicitly, that he's just not Force sensitive. And he hasn't really put together the fact that, like, he's won literally every coin flip with his lucky coin, and, like, definitely is more aware of his surroundings and is, like, way more lucky than he should be. He hasn't put together that that's actually his Force sensitivity.
Right, so after he escapes, nothing should stop him from becoming a Jedi. Ha ha.
Haha. Well, I mean, who knows? Because he, I like putting like open endings on these ones, and so I want to say that like he probably got picked up by rebellion ships, thinking he was a Jedi, being like sick, escaped Jedi for the rebellion, and he's like, oh, I wish. But it's entirely possible he would have, like, bumped into Ahsoka or Ezra later on and, like, actually been trained.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
Would be good.
Ezra's a little less likely.
We don't know what happened to him.
That's true.
We very explicitly don't know what happened to him. I mean, even, like, I guess we know Kanan didn't take a different apprentice before Ezra, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, Derek and I had a long discussion over what lightsaber equivalent was, and it ended up being a combination of my guns, armor, and the astromech.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, so it ended up being that you used lightsaber equivalent exactly as how I meant it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you need both utility and combat out of a lightsaber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think I would have preferred to have the lightsaber. If, like, from an objective min-max standpoint, because I had some pretty clever ideas if I'd been able to just, like, cut my way through the ship, you know?
My clever idea is to smash.
Well, no, I had some clever ideas that interacted with the ability to smash, but yeah.
Gotcha. I thought it was good how you got your astromech to prep the ship. It was good.
Mm-hmm. You gotta.
You can't ask a lightsaber to do that.
No, and you also can't ask a lightsaber to close doors. It just opens them.
That is true.
I also realized after asking the astromech to shoot that he didn't have a gunnery rating, and I was like, crap. I totally assumed he'd be able to shoot because we see them do it all the time in the movies, but nope.
Yeah. I kept hoping that a despair would come up on one of your rolls.
I don't know why. Despairs did not even occur to me while you were upgrading all those checks. Just slipped my mind. That being said, the Destiny point usage was, like, really dynamic and cool. And, like...
Yeah, I liked that a lot.
I really enjoyed... I also really liked that both times I rolled Force, I got Dark Side.
Mm-hmm. Very apropos.
Yeah. Boy, if I'd actually been able to do some ship combat, though, I could have wrecked. I can remove...
I believe it.
Every time I take strain in a starship, I can reduce it by 3, which means second maneuvers are free, because I just reduce...
Wow.
I reduce it from 2 to 0.
Wow.
But also, that second chances roll saved my ass so many times. And also, that ability is insane! The just... Once per encounter, choose a number of dice, a positive dice equal to ranks and second chances and re-roll them. Like, what?
Completely absurd.
And that's not even a force tree. That's just regular old piloting hotshot.
Wow.
Yeah. That's like a Han Solo ability.
That's insane.
Yeah, I really liked this character. And, yeah. I want to hear more of Derek's side of this. You've been very quiet.
Huh. I went into this with curiosity, I would say, because as we sat down to have the session and you left to go make your iced espresso, there's a bit of Alex lore for you listeners.
correct way
Yeah,
to make
Blake
iced
was like-
espresso is you pour it into a cup with ice, and then out of that cup into another cup with ice. Because the espresso warms the first ice up so that it's almost ready to melt, and then it'll water down your espresso. But if you put cold espresso over ice, the ice won't melt as quickly.
Sounds clever.
Just a little bit of anyone that goes for any hot drink you're trying to cool down. Just trust me, it'll blow your mind.
Or you can just make the ice cubes out of coffee.
Oh, that's another really smart one. We're getting some.
Is it?
Yeah, no, that like I mean I've heard it before, but it is still very clever.
Yeah, it's definitely not mine. I've always wanted to try, but like, do I want to wash an ice cube tray? Not really.
Well, you could just have if you're dedicated enough, you could have like a coffee tray and a water tray.
True. You'd have to be a real coffee enthusiast, though, but I guess you are. Anyways, to bring it back to start of session,
Just-
you leaving to make coffee.
Lay that shade down. But I guess you are.
Yeah, I can't give you a chance to reply. All right, so Blake, at the start of session, let me know that he had two concepts. One was Order 66 Escape, and the second was a link to a Minecraft posting of some dude's Venator Star Destroyer map. And he was like, yeah, here are the blueprints. It's what we're using. And I was like, okay, my guy.
Nice.
It was an exciting time for sure. And you might have noticed some like pauses when you were asking about the ship's mapping and stuff. And I suspect, Blake, stop me if I'm wrong, that it was because both Blake and I were looking through the like 3 decks of this ship to try and
Yeah, no, that was definitely it. And there were a couple of times where I was like, okay, this does not exist, but it definitely should, so I'm just going to convert this other thing into it.
Do you happen to know? So where did you find the map again, real quick?
Planet Minecraft.
Do you know the username of whoever posted that? If not, we can find it and put them in the description of this episode. But we should definitely shout them out.
It's
It was like-
Baumax. Baumaxe.
Well, thank you, Baumax, for supplying that awesome map for us and any other Star Wars fans out there that want to know what a Venator was
Yes,
like.
very much obliged.
Yeah. I have to say, it definitely, like... It's not that I could, like, tell, per se, because it's not like I know what a Venator looks like and was fact-checking you, but, like... I mean, I guess, like, to some degree I could tell that it was, like, planned and not improvised, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't tell that I wasn't able to fact-check it at the time, but I was definitely, like... It definitely didn't feel like the ship's construction was being made up, and it was very cool and, like, grounding and immersive.
I am glad.
Like, the fact...
Yeah, I looked online for Venator maps because I was just like, I definitely can't get away with improvising this entire map, and I really don't want to have to map out an entire Venator.
Absolutely. And it's like, you know, that's also such a cool thing for you to be able to do where, like, you don't have to place every single room. I can just mention a place that you didn't think of, and then it's there. You know, and you know where it is, and, like... And, like, the fact that the med bay was, like, a little inconveniently out of the way, and that's why me and B3 had to split up, and, like... You know, and even just things like the hum of the power cells being near the officer's bay was all, like, cool stuff.
That was very sneaky. Yeah. When I was little, I really wanted to get into Star Wars because my dad liked Star Wars, so I would check books out from the library, and I really couldn't do it. But there was this one book that I really liked. It was Star Wars complete cross sections and like some.
Holy shit, dude! I love that book.
Yes, I just thought of it now, but I also loved it as a child. It was very cool.
Dude, I miss cross section books.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That was like
the cross section of the Venator.
2000s, like, thing. Maybe it's just like a childhood education thing, but I feel like I used to get a lot of, like, cross-section encyclopedias, you know?
Hey,
For
me
sure.
too.
Like, I remember coming across them all the time in, like, school libraries and stuff.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like, fascinating, dude. Like, hell
Absolutely.
yeah, I want to know what a cross-section of a aircraft carrier looks like.
Dude, me too. I also read a lot of cross-section encyclopedias, and it would be like of weird stuff like satellites, but I
Yeah.
was into it.
Yeah.
Something that I feel like is very underrated, like, cause people talk about intelligence a lot, and people like to think that IQ is just like a number that describes that. But there are so many different types of intelligence and like ways of being intelligent, and I feel like a really underrated thing that can play into that is just like the way that diversity of knowledge allows you to piece together things that you haven't been explicitly told, you know?
For sure.
But it's like, do I actually like you know, like these cross section books is a great example. Like, I probably didn't learn anything super meaningful about aircraft carriers specifically while reading that book, but I bet I learned, like, I subconsciously learned things about like like ballast displacement and like how boats work in general, so that like maybe 10 years down the road when I was on a sailboat or something and someone was like, do this, like something clicked and I didn't even realize, like, you know. And it doesn't have to be me in this subject, and I'm kind of rambling here, but
I get it. That like passive, useful knowledge osmosis from reading
yeah,
something so niche.
yes, absolutely. um and yeah, and like you can tell when somebody has that. Like there are some people that I meet at school, like I mean, Blake. Blake was someone who I met at school and was just like talking to, and I realized that like he knew a whole bunch of things about things that I didn't, just because he'd been around them in a way that I hadn't. And like Lyrica and I were talking recently about video games and how like her exposure to video games is so much harder than mine, because despite the fact that she's been playing video games like fairly actively for like a little over a year now, kind of struggles with like first person shooter concepts and stuff. One, because they're really hard and that's like super reasonable, but also like
Dude, same.
I
Go-
lived a different life like leading up to her, and like the idea of how guns work and how like different aspects that are in video games work in real life and stuff like was explained to me, so that when I needed to make logical leaps of like, okay, now it's time to reload this gun because I understand how guns work, like that was just easier for me. But then like she's an incredible swimmer and lifeguard, and I feel like a toddler when we go swimming together at school. And she's like, no, 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 you gotta breathe at this part of the stroke. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And it, you know, it's just like we just have different like fluencies in that way. People are cool is the end of that.
Mhm.
Is the end of that thought. People are cool and brains are cool, and we should all just appreciate how cool and unique each of us are. Each of us is what? Each of us are a little more. There we go.
I think the concept that you're trying to get at there is benighted, and it's kind of like an old, like, pretentious word, but it's an adjective, and it means like in a state of ignorance owing to a lack of opportunity. And I'm just gonna get on my
There's a
high
really
horse
cool
a bit.
death grind band I listened to called Benighted.
Huh.
So it's wait. I'm gonna Google benighted.
Basically, it's not knowing something for like lack of exposure or chance to learn about it.
Oh yeah. And people really think that that is the same as being stupid, and it just isn't. Like the number of times on the internet, it's like, idiot, how do you not know that like this is how this works? And it's like, because I didn't, like, no one told me. You know, like this is a specific fact about how a specific thing works that I just haven't seen before, and now that I've seen it, I get it, and it's fine.
Looking at you, history memes.
Yeah, but people just love to jerk themselves off for happening to know small facts.
Yep,
I
pretty
mean,
much.
it was a competitive sport I was in high school.
Shout out to trivia teams.
Oh, yep.
I actually feel like trivia people generally are fairly good about that, though.
I mean, yeah, probably because we know the knowledge that we need to know for those things is really niche.
You know, and it's similarly it plays into like a lot of people's perception of uneducated people as unintelligent when those are not at all equivalent.
Correct.
And like we put a lot of weight on like the way people speak and how that relates to their intelligence when that is also just not how that works either. And like I listen to a lot of hip hop, so I happen to be specifically thinking about when people call like hip hop artists and rappers like unintelligent just because of the way they talk or like where they happen to come from in life. And it's like, this is literally like a genius musician who does something that you are incapable of. Like, how do you? Yeah, it just bothers me so much.
Indeed.
Perhaps makes light of that, maybe inappropriately. I don't know. I don't listen to enough of the genre. Mumble rappers, on the other hand.
Oof.
I mean, and yeah, that's a reasonable point as well. Just because you're a rapper doesn't mean you're smart, but also just because you're a rapper doesn't mean you're dumb.
Oh. Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, you can at me for criticizing a certain lyrical style all you like when I literally listen to death metal.
And I feel like the most important thing is people really just like to be part of other people's lives right now, and that's where a lot of these issues arise from. And just like let people be themselves. You know, Blake wants to listen to death metal, let that be. People want to rap, let that be. People want to rap so that no one can understand them, well, that's fine too. But like, you know.
I'm just gonna stay far away from it.
Yeah. I just punched my mic.
Nice.
Oh boy.
Literally palm to pop filter. Well, we always get so off topic on these.
We do.
Wait, is there ever a topic on these?
Not really. I mean,
What's supposed to happen in these?
I feel like the kind of like pitched thing is that we're gonna talk like about the episode and like our thoughts going into it and like what could have happened and like that sort of thing, and we definitely do that to some degree, and then we kind of get on these tangents. But I think the tangents are like, they're very like natural and well driven, and I never want to interrupt them.
Yeah.
I feel. Well, I guess we can loop back to the episode because I just thought of something.
Oh yeah.
Did you blow up a hospital? Isn't that like a war crime?
I detonated a grenade inside an infirmary. Not quite the same.
So you exposed a medical treatment center to an explosion.
Yes.
Okay, dude. I thought that was a
Something
funny contrast against you setting your blaster to stun for the first encounter.
I set it off stun pretty quickly.
Yeah. Stun lasted exactly one encounter.
True.
I mean, and to be fair, do you know what else? I don't know if it's a war crime, but what's pretty generally frowned upon is shooting your generals in the back.
Yeah.
True. But like, how long were you part of like the GAR, Grand Army of the Republic, before you decided it was bad news?
When they
he wasn't
started
talking
shooting
about-
me.
He wasn't talking about him getting shot in the back. I'm pretty sure that was another poke in Ayla Secura's back.
Well, yeah, and all the other Jedi that got shot in the back. Yeah.
Is
just like the
Ayla
Jedi-
Secura the blue one with
the blue
Vaku?
Twi'lek, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
R.I.P. her.
Yeah. Her story is actually very sad because her clone troopers really, really liked her. And basically none of them survived having to do that in one form or another.
Damn.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there were some clones who chose not to follow Order 66. Is that right?
No. The clones didn't have a choice. They had these things in their heads called inhibitor chips that basically activated upon the activation of the order and effectively put them, like, because they're, like, genetically written, it kind of just, like, overrided their memories with kill all Jedi until the order was ended. So they describe, like, feeling out of control of their actions and, like, kind of, like, watching themselves from the insides while Order 66 was happening. So a lot of them were left with, like, really devastating, like, mental effects afterwards.
Oof, I see.
Yeah.
There were a few, though, who I remember as being able to resist. I know Rex was one of them. He was blue, and I found him in a McDonald's toy thing, and, like, I remember this from the packaging.
No,
But
so
maybe
he
McDonald's
wasn't-
toys aren't canon.
He wasn't able to resist it. He
Mhm.
like tried to resist it, and so spoilers for season 7 of Clone Wars. If you haven't watched it, stop listening.
Do watch it though. It's great.
Do watch it. Clone Wars is the best thing to come from Star Wars since the original trilogy, in my opinion. It is so good, and it's just a great show in its own right. But last episode of season 7 of Clone Wars, we see Order 66 go out. Rex is in the room with Ahsoka while it happens, and like for a second he's like run, and then he starts shooting at her. And eventually she's able to remove the chip from his head. And after that, he's just himself and doesn't have any obligation to obey the order. So it's entirely
I see.
possible that situation just kind of got, like, washed down for kids to understand.
Probably.
But
Given
also...
that it touches on memory tampering and genetic engineering.
Yeah, but also, like, how Order 66 works changed with Clone Wars. The original canon description was that it was just an order, and that the clones were so susceptible to taking orders that they followed it, even if they thought it might be wrong or messed up.
Mm-hmm.
And in that description, there were some, like, mentions of Jedi who had especially, like, personal relationships with clones. I know in the Republic Troopers, or in the Republic Commandos arc, something along those lines happens, and some of them are able to resist. Also, there's, like, different ranks of clones, some of them with more independence than others, so it's possible that, like, ARC Troopers and Null ARC Troopers would have been unaffected by the Order simply because they were never meant to be that obedient in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
But then it was changed to these, like, inhibitor chips and the idea of them being, like, actually forced into it, and I don't know what happened to the canonity of those other stories when that was stated.
The
I
answer
see.
is Disney canon fucks everything.
Well, this was pre-Disney, though, is the thing, because the inhibitor
Oh,
chips
yeah, that's
were...
right.
The inhibitor chips were, well, I guess they weren't... They're kind of, like, hinted at in... Like, those were in the Lost Files, right? That was a Lost Files.
Oh, yeah, they were.
Because I don't think that was ever actually canon until Season 7, which is technically Disney. So I guess you're right, but, like, while Lucas was in charge, they wrote that plot point and then just didn't use it.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah, what's our next DM system player combo?
Derek DMing Rotator?
What? No, you did Rotator for Deadlands.
Yeah, but that was the end of a cycle, wasn't it? Or was that the beginning
What?
of a cycle?
This is episode 5, which
Okay,
means we
so
have
it's-
one more, which is me DMing
5e.
5e again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are you fine with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything I need to know right now about session setting, etc., Derek?
You can have one major uncommon item. I'll be disappointed if
One
it's like a
major
+1 sword. But like it can be a +1 sword.
I
But
was
hopefully-
very proud of my choice for magic.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, your handy things cape was very great.
Mm-hmm. There are some fun magic items in 5e.
Agree.
Is it the jar of infinite water? It's something.
It's a
like
decanter, right?
Can I have a
decanter.
deck of
An
many
alchemist's
things?
decanter, something like
Deck
that.
of many things. Oh no!
Yoinks.
A deck of many things would be the most hilarious. If you have a deck of many things, we have to actually simulate it with a deck of cards. That is absolutely.
That's a legendary item. Don't worry.
Damn it.
Be so
Meme
fun.
session where the goal is just survive.
Yeah, every 5 minutes you have to pull a card, survive.
Yoinks.
I And also there's like a different one-off going off in the background, but you just also have to be pulling these deck of many things cards.
Oh god.
That's another thing. We have been very passive with how weird we make these one-off things. There's really no limit to it.
That's true.
Like, we totally could design a session where you're just, like, in some Gambit-derived hellhole, and it's just deck of many things galore. That's a Gambit,
now
the Marvel
you-
hero, not Gambit, the Destiny game type.
Oh, now you done it. Now my next rotator slot's gonna be a trip to hell for one of you fuckers.
Oh, speaking of my, I'm super excited for my next rotator slot. I'm gonna just drop this in the post show because I'm super excited for it. Anyone who doesn't know what Reflections is, check it out. I think that's all I'm gonna say. But it is like the most unique, like perfectly designed for 1 hour one-off systems I have ever encountered.
Okay. Sounds good. Also, can we just gauge like how many rotators everyone has in mind really quick?
Like how many
Like-
they're prepared to do, kind of thing.
Yeah, like how many systems people have like on their plates that they want to try in this capacity.
I have 4 or 5.
Yeah, I have 3.
I have played very little D&D. Basically, every game I know well classifies as rotator.
Yeah, I recently downloaded Shadowrun 6e, the Reflections one that I mentioned, as well as one. It kind of seemed to be like D&D, but inspired by like Eastern mythology rather than Western.
I love Orientalism.
Alright, let's see what all we've got. We have Zweihander, Torchbearer, Black Crusade,
I'm adding Vampire the
Pathfinder.
Masquerade to your list
ooh, Vampire is fun.
because I really want to play Vampire the Masquerade,
Unhallowed Metropolis,
which I was gonna
Call
say
of
we have seen, but
Cthulhu.
no, we haven't.
yeah. Technically Deadlands, although Alex at this point would know it better than me.
Do you have Reloaded or Original? Because I do not know Reloaded.
20th anniversary.
No idea.
Deadlands team, what are you doing?
And Rifts.
Oh god.
What's Rifts? You guys sound unsettled.
Complicated. Rifts is complicated.
Yeah, it is it is quite literally a system of limitless potential, but mechanically it is an ungodly horror born of the crunchy hell of like the 1980s, 1990s tabletop scene.
The amount of specific rules they do have, and general rules they don't have, is mind-blowing.
Truly.
General rules they don't have.
Yes.
Interesting.
There
And
is a
never
large number of
forget-
things you would not think they have rules for that are there, and things that you really think would be there that are just not.
We
And
could just
remember,
go ultra
skills
crunchy
are
and play.
D%,
Huh? What was
and
that?
combat is D20.
Yeah.
Skill rolls are D% and combat is D20.
Wild.
Yeah. Rifts is just on drugs.
Like,
What if we just turned every slot into a GURPS slot?
Oh god.
This is a proposal.
I actually have not
vetoed.
looked into groups.
I generally don't like the generic systems as much.
Yeah. I've played some of... It's been a while, but I've played some of basic fantasy role-playing, and I don't really care for it.
Like, I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I feel like it's kind of impossible.
Yeah.
Unless, like I feel like, honestly, 5e might be the best generic role-playing system that exists.
Like a D20.
Yeah,
Based.
like 5e is so simple to just reflavor into whatever setting you want. Like, just do it. Like, why?
It's true.
Why
I've played
attempt
in
to
like
learn
4
it?
different 5e campaigns in like different settings, and it's been fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, even if you want to play things that are like in D&D setting that they don't have flavor for. I've heard some really cool things, such as like you can use certain evocation spells to create like a temporal wizard if you focus on all the ice ones, and instead of like freezing people in place, you're just like slowing time around them.
Oh, like flavoring it?
Yeah, you just like say it's something else and change the damage type because it's basically irrelevant.
Or you could just knock at the door of my boy Matt Mercer, beloved by the wizards, and take his Chronomancer class. And
Yeah.
that's your time wizard right there. It's core now too, since Voldemort. Yeah. Yeah, no, Matt Mercer has such an intense cult following that like Wizards gives him this is my opinion, by the way. I have no way to objectively prove this, but I feel like Matt Mercer is so popular through Critical Role that Wizards just gives him a lot of more leeway, both in like versatility and power, for his like official D&D classes than anyone else gets. Like you can compare Wildemount to Acquisitions Incorporated, and Matt Mercer got a much longer portion of the stick than whoever did AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
There's a lot of power.
The like not unhallowed Matt. The Unearthed Arcana scene / like what's it called, like the DM trove or something?
No, Unearthed Arcana are official Wizards material that isn't finalized for inclusion yet. It's like test material that they make.
Yeah, but like what's the like thing where they let other people write Unearthed Arcana, and like I think it might be what you're talking about, but like there's this like site you can go to that's like linked to Wizards and write stuff and submit it.
The DM's Guild?
Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
Yep, that's totally a thing as well.
I always get like whenever I'm trying to do research for 5e, I'm always like, oh god, like what if this is real and what isn't?
Oh yeah, that was me too when I was trying to get into 5e, and I just used the Wikipedia page of core books.
Yeah, turns out the turtle race is real, and they made an entire book for it.
Yep, it's like 5 pages long or something, and you tack it on as part of Xanathar's Guide to Everything if you're trying to play it in an official Wizards campaign.
But yeah, that was totally something that I found and was like, oh, this is fake. Cool, but fake. And no.
Nope, it's official. It was made for some like very noble charity, if I remember right. God.
I do like Wizards' engagement in that degree. And I like that they finally connected Magic the Gathering and D&D. With the
I found it. It was the Turtle package for D&D Extra Life 2017.
Oh, yeah, dude, I love Extra Life. I stream for Extra Life. Me and my friends do 24-hour live streams every year.
Oh, excellent.
Play games, heal kids. Yeah, anybody that's listening to this, please go check out Extra Life and when they're doing fundraisers and donate to them if you can afford it. They donate, they just like move all of their proceeds towards children in hospitals. I wish I knew more about like which specific hospitals and how they selected them, but I'm sure you can find that information on their site. They're doing a lot of good in the world. Go check them out. All right. Well, I think we should call it.
Yeah.
Thank you all for tuning in, as always.
Thanks, kids.
All right. Bye, everybody.